Hi everyone, I'm going to be going through simple and compound interest with you all. But first, let's just go through a basic problem on simple interest. You should understand how it works before we look at the more difficult compound interest. Let's go through it. If you have £500 in a bank account and there's 4% interest per annum, how much is going to be in the bank account after 3 years? Let's just try and puzzle it through. Okay, so the original amount, 100%, that is going to equal £500. Okay, so if I want to find out what 4% is, it's going to be helpful to know what 1% is going to be. So how do I get from 100% to 1%? It's quite simple. You need to change the colour to red here. Divide by 100. And we do that on both sides. Divide by 100. That will give us £5. Okay, so we don't want 1%, we want 4%. 4% is going to be 4 times as much as £5, which will be £20. I will just spell that out so that you can see it. I am multiplying up here by 4. And I am multiplying up here by 4. So I know that 4% interest is the same as 20 quid. So with simple interest, you just add that same amount each year. So the final answer is going to be £500 plus £20 for year 1 plus £20 for year 2 plus £20 for year 3 equals £560. And that is our answer for simple interest after 3 years. Okay, £560. So the simple interest for the 3 years is £60. So let's move on. Oh, hang on. I've just seen that my head is obscuring the working that I've done here. So I'm just going to scroll it down to show what I've done. There we go. So 100% is the original amount, which is £500. If I divide both sides by 100, I'm going to get 1% is £5, and then a times up by 4. 4% will give me £20. Okay, and then I have to add that £20 on each year to get £560. Okay. So there is a formula that allows you to do this. Okay, P times R times T divided by 100. So P, I'll go through what each of these things. P is the principal, or the original amount, in this case £500. Let's change that 9 to a bracket. The rate, well, we know that's 4%. And finally, T is the time, and that's 3 years. So if we put that into the formula here, I will get, I'll put it on the next line, equals 500 times 4 times 3 And then we have to, if I go on to the next line, divide by 100. I get a line. And this is where my calculator comes in really quite handy. So I will be going off screen to do that. 500 times 4 times 3 is 6,000. Divide by 100 gives me an answer of £60. And if we go back to the original side, you'll see that after 3 years, £60 was added. Okay, so this formula does work. It just tells you what the interest is going to be for a particular period of time. Okay, so that's simple interest. I hope that makes sense. Let us go and look at compound interest. So it's a very similar problem that I've set up here. The principle again is the same. Well, the original is £500. The rate is 4%. And the time is 3 years. That's the vital information that we have from this question. So I'm going to go through the first method, or the slow method, for doing this first. Okay. The first thing you've got to do is take 100%. And if we add on 4%, that will give us 104%. Simple. So it's literally a percentage increase that I've just done there. Okay, I don't want to make that bigger. I really need more space. So the next thing we've got to understand is what the percentage symbol means. You should know that percent means out of 100. Okay, so 104 divided by 100 is the same as 104%. And then if we put an equal sign here, when I divide something by 100, I'm shifting the decimal point to the left 2 places, which will give me 1.04. Now that 1.04 is really important because it allows us to figure out the amount that's going to get added each year. And you'll see how this works. So let's look at year 1. Year 1, I'm going to take that £500 and I'm going to multiply it by 1.04. That will give me £520. That's nice. So I'm going to move this over to the right so you can see what's going on here. We should be happy with that. Year 1, 500 times 1.04. Year 2. We've got to take that £520 and we're going to times it by 1.04 again. This will give us £540, 80 pence. And then finally for year 3, I'm going to take the £540 and 80 pence and times times by 1.04 again, which will give us 562.432. So pence is 2 decimal places, so we can ignore the 2 on the end. The answer here is 562.43. I'm just going to extend the box here so we've got enough room to put that in. That squeezes it in. My head's in the way a little bit, but it doesn't matter. You can see what's going on here. So the first difference you've got to notice here is it's not like simple interest where you work out what the 4% was, which was 20 quid, as I've put up here in the top right. And then we add on that 20 quid 3 times to get 560. That's simple interest. Compound interest, you're working out a percentage increase. So you can see that 20 quid in the first year. But in year 2, you're gaining interest on the 20 quid as well, which would be an additional 80 pence. And then in year 3, you're gaining interest on that extra 80 pence, as well as the 220 quids that you've got from the previous years, which gives you £562.43. So it's paying interest on the interest. That's the way of thinking about compound interest. Okay. So let's move on. I want to look at the compound interest formula, which is this thing up here. A equals P, open brackets, 1 plus or minus R to the power N. Okay, so I spell out what all of those things are. A is the original amount, P is the principal investment, and R is the rate of interest or depreciation, and then N is the number of years. So how can we use this formula? Well, let us look at the same problem we did here. Okay, I'm going to copy the information and I'm going to put it here. Do I need to leave it in the top right? You know what, that's not a bad place for it. I'm going to leave it up there. Okay, so we know that the principal is £500. We know that the rate is 4%, and the time is 3 years. Okay, so how do we use that? There's a little bit of jiggery-pokery that we need to do with the rate. Okay, 4% we should know, I'll put it over here, 4% is equal to 4 over, extend the box, and a line, there we go, 4 over 100. Yeah, we're happy with that. I have to be a little bit more careful now with the space because we're running out of space. Let's move this in a little bit closer, and then that gives me the room for this at the top. Yeah, there we go. 4% is 4 over 100. So how do we divide something by 100? We move the decimal place 2 places to the left. Okay, so 4 divided by 100 will give me 0.04. Okay, and to just show the decimal point moving, I will move that like that. Okay, so the decimal point was originally there, it's moved backwards 2 places to make 0.04. So we can now use the formula to work out the answer. So the amount we're looking for is the principal, which is £500, open brackets, not 9, open brackets, there we go, 1 plus, it's positive because the rate is going up. Yeah, we're adding to the initial principal. Minus would be if it was depreciating. Okay, 1 plus the rate of interest depreciation. Well, that's going to be 0.04. I'm going to close the brackets, and then I'm going to raise this to the number of years, which we know is 3. 3 years There's the number 3. And then if we put this into a calculator, we will get this. Nope, that's not what I wanted. I wanted to copy. For some reason it's not allowing me to copy this box. That's okay. I will just rewrite it again. 500, open brackets, 1.04, close brackets. And then we will raise this to the power 3. I'm not having a good day today. It doesn't want to accept my 3's, which is not good. If I go back to this box now and I extend it again, put in an equal sign, there we go, my pound will come out, and we're going to work this out. So 1.04 to the power 3 is 1.124864, and then if I times that by 500, that will give me 562.43. Now if you remember from the original example, 562.43 was my final answer, but I've not gone through all of the different steps that I've done here. So I had to work out year 1, then year 2, then year 3. Instead, using the formula, I can jump straight to the final answer, which is really useful in more complicated problems, and I will show you a more complicated problem in a little while. But let's go through another quick example. Here's one that I prepared earlier. £1,000 is deposited into a bank account. It will receive 3% interest every year. How much money will be in the account at the end of year 5? So the principal is £1,000. The rate is 3%, and the number of years, n, will be 5. So you need to do a little bit of jiggery with the percentages. So 100% plus 3% is 103%. 103 divided by 100 will give me 1.03. That 1.03 is what's going to go on the inside of the bracket. And then I'm going to raise it to the power 5 and times by 1,000. And that will give me £1,159.27. So I've literally just used that formula. Copy. Use that formula straight to get the answer there. Okay, so I did the bit inside the bracket, the 1 plus r, up here. 100% plus 3% is 103%. 103 over 100 gives me 1.03, and then I plugged it into the formula and worked it out. That's all you have to do to use it. Okay. So here is another question which you cannot really do using the first method that I showed you, working it out per year, because here we've got over 40 years, which is a very big amount of time. Okay, let's pick out the information we've got. The principal is going to be just £100. The rate is 2%, and the time is 40 years. Okay, I'm going to move this over slightly so that there's room for me to put this information in the top right. There we go. And I might shrink it very slightly so that there's... Good. Okay, so we need to remember our formula, which is this. Okay. 2% is 0.02. Okay, or we can do it the other way, which I will do now. 100% plus 2% not 2 and. 2% is 102%, which is 102 over, I'll put that over 100 in a minute. Let's just move you over here so there's a room. There we go. It's not quite on screen. There we go, it is now. And a line under this 102. Put in 100, there we go. So we should be able to see that 102% is 1.02. Now we're going to use the formula to find our amount, which will equal the principal of 100 multiplied by 1.02 raised to the power 40. So that is something you cannot do in one in lots of lines. You take forever to do that question if you were to write it out end of year 1, end of year 2, end of year 3, end of year 4, and so on. So I get out my calculator and I put in 1.02 raised to the power 40. Gives me 2.208039664 times by 100 gives me £220 and 80 pence. So a product costing £100, assuming an average rate of inflation of 2% a year, would now cost you £220 and 80 pence. Okay, so that is how you use the compound interest formula. I've got one last example to go through with you, and then we're going to take another short break. And it is a depreciation question. A car loses value at an average rate of 5% per annum. It cost £20,000 originally. What would it be worth over 7 years, after 7 years? So we need to try and remember our formula, which I've just dropped in there. Let me try and correct it so that it's not over the question and it's visible. There we go. Let us write in the principal, which is £20,000. And we want the rate, which is minus 5%. And then the time is 7 years. Okay, so I can shrink down that. That's a bit too small. Need it to be a little bit larger so that you can all see. There we go. And we'll move this. Okay. So the most complicated thing here is the depreciation part, the minus 5%. But it isn't really complicated at all. You need to think of it in terms of 100%. Take away 5, not plus minus. Take away 5% equals 95%. And if I divide 95 by 100, that's going to be 0.95. Okay. That's the first thing. Okay. Then we can use the formula A equals the principal 20,000 open brackets 0.95 because it's a depreciation. Okay. Move the box here a little bit. There we go. I raise this to the power 7. 7's a bit big there. Put this here. And I will get a value for A at the bottom, which will be my calculator, 0.95 to the power 7 gives me 0.6983372961. and then I'm going to times that by 20,000, gives me an answer of 13,966.74592. Well, that's going to be 75. Okay. Good. That's it. That is how you do compound interest and compound depreciation. And simple interest as well. I hope you've enjoyed our little session here on simple and compound interest, and you can find resources in the box below. Great, I'll leave you with it. Thanks very much, everyone. Hi everyone, this is a friendly reminder to like, subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to stay tuned for future videos on this channel. I also welcome constructive comments in the box below, and you can gain access to any of my teaching resources through the link above. If you'd like to support me through donation, you can either go to paypal.me/JonathanKipping or patreon.com/JonathanKipping. Stay tuned and look forward to future videos.